As a concession, the portion that we've proposed to put as neighborhood business, an alternative would be to change that to an R3 planned unit development, perhaps something similar to what the cottages is, where in an awkward triangular corner that would need to be accessed with a loop would require something of a PUD to be sensible. And so if at the end of the day it's in the council's judgment that that would best serve the community as a PUD, we are willing to work with R3 as a PUD on that portion rather than as a neighborhood business type proposal. But short of that, we stand by our plan.
Okay. Gary, we probably need a clarification on what the applicant just said for council, because that has a different ramification than a neighborhood business.
Yeah, I think I'd refer that to Bill. I know that he's been watching this all the way through, so perhaps he can address that.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, what was the question?
Well, the question is the applicant said that they're willing to change it from a neighborhood business to an R3 with like cottage-like setting. PUD. With a PUD, a planned unit development. So.
And that is an option available to the council. Under city code, the council has the option either to approve a rezone as presented, deny it as presented, or approve it to a less intense zoning designation.
Okay,
so
the question I have with that, Bill, does that create a comprehensive plan amendment?
It would have a cascading effect. If that was a direction the council wishes to go, we can advise the council what steps we would need to take in order to make that occur.
Okay.
But that is, that is within the purview of the council. The council can choose to approve to a lesser intense zoning designation if you wish to. That will affect the comp plan designation. That will affect the zoning ordinance, but we can certainly guide you through that process.
Okay, very good. Okay. Well, with that, Scott, did you have anything you wanted to add? Are you good?
I guess the only thing I'd like to add is I do own a business and I do have parking, one of the few spots that does have parking downtown. And outside of normal business hours, I know I personally don't have any problem with people parking there. As a matter of fact, during the summer, I try to put up the signs for the weekends so farmers market people can use the lot. At nights, I have the neighbors using the lots, and I don't have any problem with that. So as a personal experience, I know a lot of business owners are not opposed to sharing like that.
Okay. All right, with that, I will close the public hearing at 8:34, and I will turn it over for debate amongst the council. Walter?
Go back to my question I had for Mike. Mike, you mentioned several MOUs that have been executed over the years by the owners of this property with the city related to parkland dedication, related to development of Mountain View, related to development of Jensen. Did each of those take the place of the previous one, and the only one in existence is the last one?
Correct. There was just a 2008,
okay,
and there's a 2009, which is the most current.
Okay, and those run with the land. In other words, they don't run with the landowner. Is that correct? That they are operative to whoever owns the land, and whatever they're going to do with the land, they have to honor those memorandums?
Correct, yeah, binding on all heirs, successors to the property.
And of the previous developments that never got finally platted, and the agreements for the memorandum of understandings, everything has been satisfied with the exception of the construction of Jensen by the developers?
Correct.
So we're down to Jensen, is that correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, if I might clarify, I believe both of those required the recordation of a final plat, which has not occurred.
Because Jensen's on another plat, has nothing to do with this one.
It had a date of June 3rd, 2009, so.
And that did not occur. So one of the
Well, then-
developer's obligations was to record that final plat that development agreement referred to, and they did not record that plat. That preliminary plat approval expired, and they did not complete that
Then
condition.
I misunderstood you today on the phone, Bill. I thought Jensen was an agreement between the city and whoever owned this land, that whoever owned this land would bill Jensen at some point.
It is. I'm just saying that not all conditions have been satisfied. There was a condition that the developer record that plat,
Okay.
and that developer did not do that.
I understand, thank you.
You bet.
But the requirements for physical construction of something on Mountain View, of something else on the property have all been taken care of. The owner of this land's left with the construction of underground and above-ground Jensen.
I believe that's correct. I believe
Okay.
the intent of the council through the series of MOUs is clear that would be that future property owner developer's obligation.
And, okay, I'm good.
Dan?
Okay, Mike. Should we go ahead and deny it as the planning and zoning did? Is there anything that can be done with this property right now? What can be done? I mean, like Bill said, no final plat has been filed. I mean, so what can be done? It's R2 right now.
Yeah, I guess a single-family dwelling could be constructed on the property.
I mean, but how?
Yeah, any
Just
use allowed
one
in-
or
I guess the one thing that is possible, if the council were to choose to deny the comp plan designation and zoning amendment, and then approve the preliminary plat with the condition that the lots be modified to meet the minimum lot size in the R2 district. So that would be essentially combining the twin home lots, would probably get you the 7,000 square feet you would need to have. That is one potential outcome if the developer wished to pursue that. Outside of that, all other plat approvals have since expired, so the only thing is the application that is before you.
so he would have to reapply for something else. No, if we just flat deny it at the way the planning and zoning did.
You could choose to deny the land use designation amendment and the zoning amendment, but approve the plat with the condition that he modified that plat to meet the minimum lot size in the R2 zone, because that is something that could occur. So you can have,
Since it's already R2.
since it's already R2, that designation exists, they would just need to modify the plat to become in conformance before the council could grant that final approval. And what you would have to do to modify it is essentially combine the adjacent twin home lots to get down to single-family lots that meet the minimum 7,000 square foot lot size. That would then preserve kind of the process to date and get them back to essentially a plat that at least has that within it, if that's even something that they would wish to pursue, but that is kind of the option. If all three actions are denied, it's back to the beginning.
Okay.
So it is
Yeah,
back to.
that was kind of what.
It's back to a neighborhood meeting and through the Planning and Zoning Commission, through the council. So that is, the one preservation of an option would be to approve the plat, deny the other two actions, but approve the plat with the condition that it be modified. If I might, there were just a couple comments that were made during some earlier discussions. I just wanted to I guess, clarify or provide some points for the council's consideration. So with parkland dedications, it is the city's obligation to develop those and not the developer's obligation. It is their obligation under the code to dedicate land, to make that land available. And the Parks and Rec Commission reviews to make sure the dedications are suitable, and they have found that to be the case. So I just wanted to clarify that it really is not necessarily their obligation to landscape and develop. We do enter into agreements occasionally where they want to dedicate less than the required land, and they make up the value through improvements to the parkland. But in this instance, they are exceeding the square footage number, this requirement. The other thing I guess I would clarify is I would certainly not advise the council to rely upon the business parking, if that happens to be approved, to satisfy the residential parking, unless there is some form of legal agreement or easement to guarantee that. Yes, maybe some informal, I think, would occur, but I just don't think it would be in the council's best interest to rely upon that, not knowing what the future use and future owners and users of that property would be. They are meeting their required off-street parking under the code, underneath the initial proposal, and both iterations did not have any on-street parking until you got farther east in the project on that straight stretch. But, this is a intensification of the number of dwelling units, and so that's certainly something the council can consider. The last item I guess I would concern is looking at increasing the front setback. You would really need to get to 40 feet to actually get two vehicles. If you did it at 30, you're really talking about one vehicle and then inviting somebody to park across and block the sidewalk. And so that would be my concern is that, and then by the time you push homes 40 feet back from the street, you really kind of have broken down the neighborhood feel, the street wall in the neighborhood. So it'd be better for them to actually widen it and put maybe a space adjacent to the parking than actually increase that front setback that deep. So just a few points.
May I
Art-
follow up with
Art
Bill's
had-
ask? Oh, sorry.
Art was next, then I'll come to you, Catherine.
Yeah, I always hate to disagree with planning and zoning, but sometimes it happens. But relative to this, I was going to comment that to keep Moscow in accord with housing and urban development in the feds and fair and affordable housing, developing access and equal opportunity for those of lesser financial means is a goal that we have to be paying attention to, otherwise we're going to get into trouble down the way. And providing housing in this area and at this price point is something that would certainly demonstrate Moscow's commitment to fair and affordable housing for the community at large. And like everyone else, I think my main concerns center on the parking issue. With the enhanced densification of the area, we've got to have a place to park some of the extra folks. And I think the developer's proposal of using the neighborhood business area for that is not bad, but not on a gentleman's handshake and a nod. I think we need to have something more robust in place than that, that not only protects the development and the city at large for parking, but also protects the business owner from people who are storing an RV there for time immemorial and keeping them in business too. So I think some kind of legal agreement could be achieved there. But I think overall it's a good use of the area, and I think neighborhood business is an idea whose time has come and is not a detriment. And further, the massing and orientation of the houses there on two adjacent smaller lots is not necessarily any different than one large home on a lot twice as large. The visual and massing effect is exactly the same. So that's what I had to say about that.
Kathy?
My question, hey, Bill, I wanted to ask you, so the street width, and could there be a bump out? Like, where the houses are sitting now with the 15 feet in the garage, blah, blah, blah. Can you move, because I was wondering about Rolling Hills, which is next to it. Is there parking in Rolling Hills on the street?
So in Rolling Hills has not, I guess there are a number of streets in Rolling Hills, so I just want to clarify what street you're referring to. 3rd Street will extend into Rolling Hills at some point in the future, but it is currently not constructed within Rolling Hills. I do believe they anticipate adding parking.
No, it's not. I'm just curious, on the Rolling Hills Drive, which would be parallel to, it's okay, the one that's coming in on 3rd, is there parking
Yes.
on the Rolling Hills?
Yes.
But it's not the same width?
The roadway itself, that may be a 36-foot wide residential street. We have varied our residential street standards that have parking on both sides from 36 to 34 feet over
Right.
time. So it's likely either a 34 or 36-foot wide street with parking on both sides on Rolling Hills Drive.
But there's a curve in that, and the reason I was wanting to ask is the developer was saying that they felt like it was unsafe, but when you look at the same topography, there's parking on the road there, right?
I think I would defer the question about safety of on-street parking to Les McDonald.